Welcome to Salute and Biohacking Podcast. My name is Vanessa Bertinotti, and my mission is to build a tribe that shares my same passion for health optimization and biohacking by bringing to the table experts and people who inspire me. All the information contained in this podcast is purely informative and does not replace medical or therapeutic consultancy. Today we will talk about the Conscious Health Summit in Lisbon with the two founders, Denisa Miu and Max Walter. For my community, Conscious Health Summit is offering a discount code. Just head on summit.conscioushealth.io and use the coupon code Vanessa to get 10% off on normal tickets. You will find the link in the show notes of this episode. Denisa and Max, welcome to the show.
Hi,
Hi,
Vanessa.
Vanessa.
Isn't it interesting that you have to already do a legal disclaimer immediately that
Uh,
it's not health advice, right?
yeah, for me it's better that way. But anyway, can you tell us a bit about your personal journey so that we can have like an overview of your journey?
Do you want to go first?
No, you go.
All right, yeah. So I've always been very passionate about health and being in shape and taking care of my body.
Mhm.
And the whole thing took a different level though when I had COVID. Like very early on, it was like even before the Delta variant. So I was pretty sick. I didn't go to the hospital, but then afterwards I had like 2 months of problems with my nervous system and I wanted to work out. But if I would just pull on the rowing machine like twice, my heart rate was 195. So there was nothing I could do. And in my head, I was confronting this fear that I would no longer be able to do sports.
Mhm.
Right. And every doctor I went to 5 different doctors, told me, you're fine, you have nothing. And so I started doing my own research and I dug into the studies about the inflammation, the spike protein, and what you can take to help. And I started taking like something like crazy, like 30, 40 supplements every day. But within like 2 months, I was not just good again, I was better than I was before even getting COVID. And that really shocked me. I was like in total disbelief that no doctor knew about any of this. Nobody was recommending me any of this. Nobody even heard of any of this. And even when you brought it up, everybody was really dismissive of it. And
Mhm.
so that's when I started this journey where I trusted a lot less in the system and a lot less, a lot more in myself to do my research and own my health journey. And at this point, we went maybe October 2023 to the Biohacker Summit in Amsterdam, which is also where I met you for the first
Mhm.
time. And it was an amazing event. And it was the first time that I got in touch with this community that is also as passionate and as eager to optimize their health as me. And from there was born the thought to open what is now the Healthy Horizon Longevity Club in Lisbon, that is just about to open. It's just a matter of weeks, where we offer all of these kind of cutting edge treatments like hyperbaric oxygen and so on that are usually hard to get access to. And having that business now, I felt that it was really important also to bring a summit like the Biohacker Summit, like the Health Optimization Summit, where this community comes together to Lisbon, because we really have like a very vibrant community here, a
Mhm.
very deep community, a very connected community, very international community. And it's really the perfect place to do something like this.
Mhm. Because you are from Luxembourg, right? And you moved to Lisbon. Can you
Yes,
tell us a bit about why you moved to Lisbon?
yes. So I initially, like, Luxembourg is amazing. It's a beautiful country with amazing people. I am deeply connected there. But I kind of got stuck in my comfort zone because I knew everything. I knew everyone. There was nothing new, nothing challenging. And so I decided to just move to the biggest city I could find, which was Madrid, which is where I met Denisa as well. So we were living in the same building there. And then I wanted to move to Lisbon for the taxes, like to save
Mhm.
money on my income, basically. So I have this program here where I would only need to spend like 3 months a year, which was my plan. But I fell in love with the city, the nature, the energy, the atmosphere, the community, the tribe here so much that I never left after that.
Interesting. And you, Denisa, why did you get involved into biohacking and health optimization?
Yeah, I think for me, at least from my experience, for my life experiences, better said health optimization than pure biohacking. But so I grew up. I'm Romanian. I grew up in a small town in Romania, and I spent a large part of my childhood on the farm of my grandma. So early on, the food that I consumed and that I knew was food that you took from the garden, or there was an animal killing involved, but the meat was fresh and the cheese was fresh, the eggs were fresh, the water was good, it tasted great from a well and so on, from natural springs, and so obviously growing up I that's what I knew, and apart from that, connection and family nature were constants, very very major constants in my life, like that's what health and that's what life meant to me. Fast forward to the to my explorations in life, from studying and then to starting my professional life. I've lived in 5 different countries apart from Romania. I've worked in the tech industry, so a very fast-paced industry, and basically I've had to adapt to new places wherever I went to live. And I realized that without even like knowing, I was looking for kind of the same thing. So everywhere I moved, I first looked for where I can get good food, where I can get organic food, and where I can get the food that tastes like the vegetables or the fruit or the food that's how it tasted in my childhood. I went through also quite a long period of, I think it's still ongoing, but in the past 15 years, I've been very passionate learning about anything health wise. And it started actually, I realized, with one of my best friends getting sick very early in her life, of an autoimmune disease that didn't shouldn't have happened for someone that young, and it was unheard of. And so I started reading more and more about nutrition and learning about what a healthy lifestyle is. I would say thanks to her and thanks to the experience that I saw she was living. And yeah, to this day, I learned everything about what a non-toxic house is. How do you make it less toxic? The kind of things that you put on your skin, the kind of clothes that you wear, the impact that that has. And I went from a nutritional point of view. I went through many years of not eating meat. You know, I went for the for the vegetarianism and veganism craze for a while, and currently I've simplified my life to just go back to my ancestral roots and where I come from and what I know that is good for my body and what I can feel in my body that feels good.
Awesome, awesome. And in your health journey, what did you learn and how your lifestyle and mindset have changed in the years?
Well, for me, it's been everything that I mentioned. Also now, it's been a very gradual experience in the sense of learning something, then applying it to myself. So, for example, I started reading at some point, many 15 years ago. I started reading a lot about nutrition. I was curious to understand what that information would do to my body. So I tried it. The same with learning about what is good for my skin. I literally went and researched it, and I looked also for people who could offer me relevant information. I learned how to filter the information to the extent that now I know to follow the people that really are relevant for what I need. And yeah, it's been a very gradual process of trying on myself what works and what doesn't.
I think one big part she's omitting about her own journey is also related to more the work around purpose in life, because she comes from a very corporate environment and she discovered kind of for herself the importance of pursuing what you're passionate about. And for me, that was more of like a private process in terms of what I call my spiritual journey, but it's very connected to regulating your nervous system and being in a good state so your organs work well and then nutrient sensing works well, which is also very important for your physical health, right? So that was like more of a personal journey for me, even though it led now to where I'm at. But for her, it was also a big part of her professional transformation. So maybe she wants to talk about that too.
Sure, that's actually a very good point. So, for including what, and it goes a bit into what the summit is also about, bridging modern science and ancestral wisdom. For me, the connection that I had as a child, being around nature, being around people, and also coming from a Latin background. I've always felt very strong about working with people and being of service and really genuinely helping. I went through a long career of working in the tech industry to now being a coach, because I always knew that I would end up here eventually. And learning everything as much as I can, and continuing learning about the nervous system, learning about how I want to live my life, how I want to show up in life, who I want to be, the fact that there's always a choice, what amount of freedom do I want in my life, have been very powerful themes for me, especially in the past 3 years. But all throughout life, actually, looking back, you realize that everything is set out exactly the way that we need it. So, yeah.
Awesome. And what's your personal definition of health, and how has it evolved over time?
So for me, health actually means knowing your body, understanding your body, and also knowing the options, the choices that you can make that help your body rather than, making it worse. It's really trying, testing, understanding for yourself what is for you from all points of view, whether that's nutrition, lifestyle, spiritual connection, intuition, and so on.
Yeah, I think that is really the interesting part about health nowadays, right? Where you have this gap between spiritual understanding of life and health and being in balance and physical health in the body. And it's slowly being really closed, because now we know that just through your thoughts, you can trigger different peptide cascades that will then have a physical impact on how your body is working, right? And so you have like these different levels of health, but they're all very interconnected, and it's like a really complex interaction both ways, where you if you live in a healthier body, so you do like kind of the biohacking thing, right? You also feel better, and it's harder to be in a scarcity mindset. It's easier to think about abundance. But then also, if you do the inner work and you feel good about yourself, your nervous system is regulated, your body will function better. You'll be healthier on a physical level as well, and have more energy, more motivation. So it's I love that now finally, factually, scientifically, and with evidence, we're bringing these two sides together. And that's also a big part of what we're trying to communicate to people at this summit.
And how important is self-awareness if we want to empower ourselves and feel better?
I think it's really difficult nowadays, right? Like there's so many financial incentives involved in the medical system and in the pharma industry that you can't really trust anyone else more than yourself anymore. So I think it's important that we empower people to be their own guide on their health journey. It doesn't mean you shouldn't have experts and you shouldn't listen to them, but in the end of the day, it's your body, your health. You need to be the final decision makers, and everybody else should be like a collaborator for your health journey. And it's kind of antithetical to what's happening in most of healthcare nowadays. Like, I don't want to generalize too much, but often it's the case you go, they tell you what to do and you do it. And like, if you have any questions, often they're dismissive. If you have any concerns, they don't take you serious. And this is a big problem. So I think the only way to truly find our own health is to also be in charge of it, to own it, to be responsible for it. So it requires a certain level of awareness and consciousness, right? You need to be present. You need to make these considerations in the first place to also be able to come to a conclusion.
And what does biohacking mean to you, and why do you think it's relevant to everyone today? So
I'll also go on that one. Biohacking used to mean something quite different when I first heard it to what it was when I went to the Biohacker Summit, because I was kind of hesitant to go, because from my first contact with the theme, it was something very much about interfering with the body's natural processes and trying to gain like an edge. So it was very much about nootropics or like different, maybe even like addictive substances, that would give you an instant boost in cognitive performance. And when I was at the Biohacker Summit, I realized the term had really expanded to incorporate much more about, how you can assist the body in running its natural processes in a more effective, more efficient way, and bring it more into balance and bring it more to like its kind of peak of functioning and performance. And that's a definition that for me resonates a lot more. I'm still about many things that interfere with the body's processes. I'm very much on the fence for a lot of it. But when it comes about supporting the natural functioning, then I'm a really, really big fan of it.
Denisa, do you want to answer also to that question, or?
I completely agree with Max on that. I guess for me, that the moment that we expand on the term itself, like for me, I think also all of the new practices, but like interpretations of old practices, such as breathwork, for example, or meditation. The reinterpretation of these practices and making them more available. It's almost contributing in the same way as modern technologies or modern science in that sense. So I would just add this, but yeah, I completely agree with Max.
And what does it mean to you to live a good life? That's a big question.
For me, it's feeling good in my body, feeling good in my mind, feeling good in my spirit, in my soul. So I guess another way of putting it is feeling free. The same, going back to what I said earlier, freedom of choice. Also feeling good in the sense that knowing, being aware that you have a choice, that you continually learn, and that we can change, we can choose the things that can bring us to a place where we're content. I'm trying to avoid saying happy, because everyone defines their own happiness, but yeah, a place where you're content, where you feel good.
Yeah, I think like this term of freedom is really at the core of it, right? What does it mean? It's like, if I'm not in a healthy body, then there are many things that I cannot do, right? So being in a healthy body enabled so much more physical freedom, like going hiking for longer, doing like rock climbing and surfing, and anything that really encompasses this sense of joy of life affirmation. You can do more of it if you live in a healthy body. But then at the same time, at the mental level and emotional level, you have a lot of external factors that try to make you behave a certain way. And the more you're grounded and centered in yourself, the more you don't let them influence you, and you just who you want to be authentically. And the same is true for like the inner demons, right? So if you don't do your inner work, there's many toxic thought patterns, many traumas and triggers that keep you from really being in touch with yourself. But if you do the inner work and you kind of make friends with them, you integrate them into your holistic being of who you are, then you become so much better at just authentically expressing who you are in this world. And that is like this feeling, like this spark, this sacred spark that we all carry inside of the joy of life. So that for me, maximizing that sense of being alive, that is what it means to live a good life and to live deeply.
Awesome. And this year, May 2nd and 3rd, you are organizing the first edition of the Conscious Health Summit in Lisbon. What inspired you to organize this event?
Yeah, like I said, there was the fact that it's not happening in Lisbon at this level, right? There's nothing big for like the general population to pass on the information of what you can do in your life to live well, both healthy, long, but also live meaningful lives. And that part, the last part, is something that I really saw missing from a lot of these other summits, where the biohacking community, longevity community, they talk about these studies that show that not having a purpose in life is like more unhealthy for you than smoking, right? And that the most important aspect for longevity is really to have deep, meaningful connections and relationships in life. And then they just kind of leave it at that. There's nobody that will take your hand and say, oh, you're struggling with this. Well, here's a framework for you. Here's some things that you can do practically to find more of this in your life, to cultivate a deeper sense of meaning and purpose. So, because they don't have the answers right now. I think modern psychology and psychiatry is very limited, and it doesn't really go to the core of these very human issues because they're a little bit abstract, they're a little bit finicky. There's nothing like clear cut about it. It's not all mental. It's also about like this embodied feeling that you learn in your body. And so we think that there is really where the ancestral wisdom comes in, where you bring philosophy, you bring spirituality, you bring these old practices and this togetherness. And there's a lot of lessons, a lot of frameworks around spirituality that humans knew about for long, long, long ago, for many, many millennia, perhaps, about how to live good lives. And we want to bring that also to people, because if you live like a very physically healthy and long life, but you don't fill it with meaning and purpose, what's the point? So the summit is really about giving people concrete, practical tips and frameworks to do this, and not just like all of this very abstract stuff about it.
Excellent. And why did you decide to call this event the Conscious Health Summit? And what do you hope to achieve with this venue?
Yeah, I think we kind of answered that already, right? Like it's about, you have to be conscious and aware of your own journey, and you have to, like, if you want to be aligned, you first have to be aware of like what your values are, and what you care about, who you want to be, and then you can make aligned decisions, and that extends also to health. So we think like this conscious health journey is like really a new lifestyle, a new philosophy of life that should be core to the human experience. It shouldn't just be something that you kind of do in your free time a bit. It should be really like what life is about, to be healthy and live a meaningful life.
And what sets your summit apart from other biohacking and health summit in Europe? So I think it's more this ancient wisdom and consciousness, less technology, or what do you think?
I'll leave this to Denisa, but I just want to quickly say no, not less technology.
Okay.
All the technology, we also love that part. We have no problem with technology and science. I think they're just conduits, they're neutral. It's about intention that is put in. We love both sides, and I think they need to connect on a more even level, instead of having like this kind of dismissiveness one way and this kind of distrust the other way.
Okay.
Like they're both parts of the same important concept.
Yeah, so I think just to summarize on what Max just said, it's exactly that. So what we would like the differentiator factor to be is that we're bringing together both the technology. So yes to technology, yes to modern science, and we're big fans of that. But it needs to come together with the ancestral wisdom. So the differentiator factor being that we would like them to shine together rather than what happens very often. They get separated a lot. So that's one thing. And then a second important aspect is, I know we mentioned it earlier, but it's the aspect of owning your own health. And what we want people to get out of the summit is exactly this. So not only inspiration from beautiful talks from really insightful speakers, but also practical tools that they can take with them at home. So yeah, it would be these two things.
I think also the way that we want to convey this need for deeper purpose and sense of connection is that we're structuring a lot of the summit to provide very interactive experiences rather than just having talks, which are sometimes great. Some speakers can truly capture the audience and inspire, but then we also want the brands, the speakers, the facilitators to have like a direct interaction with the audience. So we create some spaces for that as well, where the connections that are formed, they are more meaningful and long lasting than just, seeing a speaker on the stage convey and impart his information to you passively, and you're just there absorbing.
And will be also panels, so not only like speech but also panels, or did you thought?
Not panels as such. We will have a format that we call the roundtable, and the main difference is that we are hosting it in something called the Wisdom Circle.
Okay.
So the Wisdom Circle is a stage, kind of, but it's set up like an amphitheater, right? So people are kind of sitting around the facilitators or the presenters in the middle. And if we have a panel, it will happen on a round table in the middle, and the questions will not come from some moderator. We'll have a moderator, but he will be collecting questions from the audience, and rather than giving the question from the audience in their name, he will actually just give the word to the audience to directly talk to the person, to the presenter, to the brand representative, to the thought leader. And, we want to have this two-way dialogue where people really feel like they can also perhaps sometimes challenge what somebody's bringing up. Or maybe there's like a fertile exchange on both sides where both sides are learning something. And we think that is really important. And this round setup also creates like this togetherness, this feeling of like sharing an important moment as a tribe around a fire or a focal point in the middle, right? And it's creating a very different energy.
Sounds very interesting. And what are the most exciting topics or speaker featured at the summit, and how do they align with the future of Health Summit?
I saw this question in the document and I was like, I didn't want to think about any of the questions in advance. I just wanted to be like, okay, like this all seems in line with what we're doing, and I'll just speak from the heart in the moment. And that one, I was like, I don't know what I would say about this, and I still don't really. Maybe Denise, I can go first. I'll just put her on the hot seat.
Sure. We have would you like to hear specifics? We can share it. So we're talking everything about, for example, diagnostics and tests, the kind of tests that you can get to understand a bit more your DNA, to understand your biological age, which are important type of information for. Well, they're very well known and very popular, common in the biohacking scene, but perhaps not so much for the general audience. So we definitely want to bring that, and we have a few partners also and a few speakers that will really make an impact in that sense. We want to make sure that we also bring there a few speakers from the ancestral wisdom side of things. And there it's interesting because it can be something that it's a bit more modern, let's say, or common now from breath work, and there's a breathwork workshop happening everywhere these days. But then we will also talk about psychedelics, for example. We're bringing a great speaker who can talk about integration and what that means when working with psychedelics, for example. So it's a lot of diverse other things.
Awesome.
I personally, I'm personally very excited to bring on stage on the wisdom stage, the wisdom circle, some people that had a profound positive impact in my life, healers, spiritual guides, people that without them I would not be in this amazing place I am now in my life, because they really helped so many people in the Lisbon area and beyond. They have had impact to that extent to hundreds of people's of lives, and they have really very deep insights to share. So that will be amazing. And then one particular talk that I'm super excited about is going to be on epigenetics and methylation patterns of the DNA, and how it can be used to extrapolate to biomarkers to an extent that is actually more precise than measuring the biomarkers, right? So with like very little, just a drop of blood, you can get like all your minerals, vitamins, everything. And because it's a lagging indicator, it's more of a moving average than taking something, that maybe during the day will vary a lot. That's just crazy, right? Like it's efficient, it's more precise, and it's gonna bring whole new breakthroughs in terms of customizing your diet, customizing your supplements, customizing your lifestyle. So that I'm super thrilled about. I mean, some people will know who I'm talking about just based on that. But if not, I will keep it for a bit later. We'll probably announce it on our Instagram very soon.
Okay, excellent. And if there one lesson or mindset shift you hope attendees will gain from this event, what will be?
So for me, it's definitely knowing that you have a choice. You always have the opportunity to learn what's good for you. The information is there. You have the power. Life works for you, and you have the option to always take ownership.
I think it's in a similar but maybe more philosophical way that everything starts with consciousness. Like the whole world is created through consciousness. There's a lot of evidence in modern science now that actually consciousness is primary in reality, and then the physical world is kind of a consequence of consciousness, and not the other way around, that like we live in a physical world and then consciousness arises in this body, right? And that is a really big mind shift, because I think we have only really begun to explore what consciousness really is and how deep it runs. And everything starts with this awareness that we are conscious and that we are in charge of our life path at a deep, deep, deep level, and that we can take ownership of that and we can make any transformation that we want in this world.
Yeah, I agree 100% with you, Max.
Great. I hope more and more people will feel this also here, and not just here,
Yeah.
And then we are in like maybe just in a few short decades, we will live in an absolutely amazing world where a lot of our problems as humanity are solved.
Yeah, I hope so. So can you share some of your favorite biohacking tools or technique that you have had the biggest impact on your life?
So for me, I'm not sure if it's like the very specific biohacking what people would expect, but for me, it's having a water filter.
Okay.
Just going back to drinking very good water in a busy city after many years of just not having that, as I did when I was young. And then the second one would be introducing collagen into my diet. Yeah,
Excellent.
so those two main ones from a very more pure biohacking point of view.
And what was the difference you noticed after taking collagen, for example?
Several. So health of skin and nails and hair, are the things that are very common. But for me, it's also been energy and just feeling, using it also, for example, with my coffee has made a very big difference in how my body reacts to it, which that for me is a good indicator that it's helping rather than, than just being there. So a lot of good things.
Great. And you, Max?
For me, I do like a million things, right? So I take a lot of supplements, adaptogens. There's just so much, and I'm generally feeling really good and healthy. So it's always hard to tell if one thing in
Mhm.
particular makes a difference. But the water definitely, like, I feel the difference. That my mind is more clear. There's less brain fog. It's like coming out of a fog after drinking tap water for so long because the filter was delayed and the installation was delayed, and it made a tremendous difference. Another one I really noticed personally, and I know people like split minds about this, but I got this grounding sheets
Mhm.
from my bed, and like the first 3 nights I would just like melt into it, and like I like sweat, but in a good way, almost like somehow my body was releasing something. And since then I've been sleeping way better, like
Mhm.
definitely way better. So for me, grounding sheets make a huge difference. Beyond that, sports, like every time, like now we're like kind of in a crunch time, I again haven't worked out for a week or two, every time I do, because there's just so much to do with the business and the conference. Every time I do, it's like a couple of days and then gets less and less. But every time I do, just for 2, 3 days, I start feeling amazing, right? I just start feeling so much better. Like there's so much more energy generated in my body, motivation, like mood. It's incredible. So if you're not doing any sports, like even just doing like half an hour a day of something light, I think will make an incredible impact for you.
Mhm. Mhm. And what does your ideal day look like in terms of health practice, routine, and tools? Do you have any routine, or is like very
I
flexible?
I have a tentative routine that I wish I was able to consistently implement, but I can walk you through
Okay.
what it would look like
Okay.
if I was able to implement it. But yeah, when I get up, I mix like this kind of fitness drink. It's like there's like this mix of organic vegetables and fruits with some minerals and some amino acid. It's called Cardio Miracle.
Mhm.
It's really great for nitric oxide. And then I add to that my NMN and my creatine and some iodine and some lithium. And what's the last one? Anyway, so that I drink with like a bunch of supplements that are like all related to like the NMN metabolism, the NAD plus metabolism, so the cellular energy. Then I would do a workout. I would do a meditation or maybe a session on like one of these brain stimulation things that
Mhm.
works similarly. And then, read for a bit, and then I would go about my day. I would take like probably like, which I do, it's like close to 25 supplements, something like that.
Mhm.
Um, and then I think it's very important to stay away from like TV, social media. I think that's crucial. So I think most of it you can kind of chuck into the morning, like workout, meditation, taking a lot of the supplements, and then organic food, right? We get this amazing box of a farm just outside Lisbon every week with the best quality, best tasting vegetables and fruits you can find, and it's cheaper than any supermarket. It's incredible.
Mhm.
So that is super important as well. And I'm lucky enough that Denisa cooks amazing food for me so often.
And you, Denise, do you have a routine?
So a bit like Max, I can walk you through what would be my ideal routine. I don't do it all the time, but it's true that when I do it, it feels amazing. So the morning starts a bit similar to Max with supplements and um, yeah, an optimized drink that he usually takes care of for me as well, because he's extremely knowledgeable, and I'm happy to, after many years of figuring out for myself what works and what not. I'm very happy to have him have the lead on that. And then my go-to tools would be um, a bit of breath work in the morning combined with meditation. So it's not long, it can be anything from 10 to 20 minutes. And it has a huge impact. And then if I can, when I can, sports is makes a very, very big difference for me. I actually have some back problems that say similar to what Max was saying earlier. Just 1 2 days of working out, it's like I'm a new person. Pain
Mhm.
gone, energy levels very much up. So that. And then nutrition and water are very important in our life right now. How we keep hydrated and how we eat. And then in the evenings, I like to wind down with either a bit of reading and blue light blockers actually have
Mhm.
started to make an appearance in our routine now, which and for me they've made a very big difference. And I usually lately I do a very yes, I do a very nice routine with a tea before I go to bed. Currently, I'm on Blue Lotus tea, which has some really interesting benefits and effects,
Mhm.
including very lucid dreaming. So it's very interesting, and yeah, that would be that would be it.
Mhm.
These are amazing, by the way. So, like, I found this guy who literally did testing where he had photo sensors and tested what parts were being blocked, and
Mhm.
there was only one that was slightly better than this one, but it didn't go like wrap around like this. And for my shape of head, that would mean that a lot of light comes in anyway. And these are really great, and I can really tell the difference. And I totally missed when you asked about my favorite stuff to do, and also now my routine. What is like some of the things that make the biggest impact for me when they're part of my routine is like sauna and cold plunge. It is red light therapy. It is floating in tanks, right? And here in Lisbon, these things are difficult to do regularly, right? There's just no place. And that is like when we are opening our club right now, you can be sure that I'll be doing sauna at least twice a week there. I'll do floating at least once a week. I'll do red light therapy every single day. Like the red light therapy for like my energy and also my libido is like insane. It
Mhm.
just brings it crazy up. The sauna, you just feel so much more relaxed and like your body is in such a smooth, comfortable state. And for the floating, like the kind of recovery that you do by just being like 2 3 hours in a floating tank, it's like being on holiday for 5 days,
Mhm.
or like when I had my knee broken and I was recovering from that and going back to sports, I would do CrossFit like 3 4 times a week. And every time I didn't do my floating on the weekend, I wasn't able to go to CrossFit in the beginning of the week, Monday, like, or it was very hard. But if I did floating for 3 hours on the weekend, I'd go to Monday completely fresh and ready to tackle it.
Mhm.
So these are like really things I feel passionate about bringing to people's lives more, to make them more accessible, because they have such a tremendous impact. And like sauna has like a more than 50% decrease in all cause mortality. That's insane. Like doctors should be prescribing sauna to every single person, just like hydrogen therapy, right?
Yeah.
Like there's absolutely no downside to it. Why don't they give everybody hydrogen? Okay, maybe there's like some contraindications, but like in general, they should just be flooding people with this stuff all the time. In Japan, they do. Every time in Japan you go to the hospital, they put you on hydrogen therapy, and then when you're on that, then they will ask you what's up with you. Like why don't we do this here?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
yeah, that's a lot of things that I think can make a tremendous impact very easily in people's lives that are quite low hanging fruits in terms of being able to do it, but we need to make them accessible.
Mhm. And what are the main challenges you see in making this tool and practices accessible to a wider audience?
Ooh, yeah, I need to navigate carefully here, but it's like the European regulation
Mhm.
and compliance is insane. Like, it doesn't make any sense. It's like treating everybody like they're little children. And I had somebody recently at an event tell me, yeah, but if we let everybody do what they want, then, when something goes wrong, because we have the system where we have to take care of everyone, then we won't be managing the cost anymore. And it's just such a backwards way of thinking about it. For example, if peptides and stem cells within reason would be made accessible, then that would relieve a tremendous burden on the healthcare system, because so many people would be so much healthier. They would not become sick. They would heal more easily, right? And it's true for almost everything. But of course, if the healthcare system is relieved a bit, there's less money to be made, So there's like this profit incentive that I think is like having a strong hold on the regulation and is lobbying a lot. And so what we really need is an awakening of people and banding together and counterbalance that with lobbying for prevention, lobbying for optimizing health as a default lifestyle, and for creating businesses that thrive when people thrive, not when people are doing so.
Just to answer on that as well, I think it's similar to Max's answer, is just having the people who share the information, having them do the proper research, unbiased research, and then offer it to the population. Because I think talking about the obstacles and how to bring these practices more to people, I'm sure more people would be interested and would request them and would be looking for them, and therefore the offer would be higher if there would be more demand, in terms of economics. But people don't know about them, and there's a reason for that. It's because mainstream media doesn't talk about this. You need to really go out of your way currently to find out. You really need to discern the information and do your own research, or find the people that you trust, and they're a handful compared to the vast majority of people who talk about health. Just find the ones that you really, really trust. So if the right information and the unbiased information would be more readily available, then that would definitely make a shift.
I think, though, it's like not just access to information, is also just, if something is not legal, even for a doctor to prescribe to you, then what are you supposed to do? Like, you don't have an option at all. And I think we just need to provide a pathway for people to just take responsibility. Like, I should be able to say, I want to do this treatment. I understand the consequences or the potential risks. I sign a kind of waiver, and then I can do whatever I want, right? But I can't in Europe. And it's a little bit this mindset that I think has also caused, like, I don't know, like, a few decades ago, the European economy was as big as the American one. And now the American one is almost twice as big as the European one. Like, what happened there, right? How did we lose touch with the innovation, the progress? There's something about the European mindset that I think needs to shift a bit.
And the summit emphasized community and shared knowledge. How important is collaboration in advancing the health optimization movement? So do you think that summit can improve the consciousness and to make things change also in the health world, or it's utopic?
Yes.
The answer is yes.
Yes.
Definitely, it's a community, building a community, having a platform. The intention is for the summit to become a platform where community is built, where people connect, and where people learn that there are so many of us who are interested in the same things and who are also interested in learning from each other. So it's one of the core pillars actually of the summit. So that's why yes, a big yes.
No one person can know even close to everything needed to live the fullest life. And I would say very, very few people in the world can even know everything in just a single niche topic. Right? So, like, without working together, there's just no way. There's no way. We need to be a community. We need to be a tribe. We need to help each other out. We need to learn from each other. We need to share our experiences. And then maybe we can find a way where everybody lives their fullest life.
And for someone new to biohacking or conscious health, what the first step they should take to start their journey?
They should come to our summit. So I think they just need to open their mind, be curious, and start exploring. Like, just doing things, like, within reason. Don't take stupid risks, obviously, but there's a lot of content creators out there that provide really high quality information. So with just a bit of discernment, you should be able to start your journey and just go like, okay, I have this problem in my life. What do people say I should do for this? And then you try a few things and you just start learning to listen to your body. Just start learning to listen to your own body.
And for you, Denise?
Yeah, so I totally agree with what Max said. For me, I would summarize, and also it's through the nature of the work that I do now. You know, I work as a coach, I work with emotions, I work with the nervous system. And I think it starts with understanding that everything is connected. Your body, your mind, your spirit, your intuition, they're all connected. So once you know that, then be open to learn. Be open to learn.
I mean, I would like to differentiate my answer a bit. Like, this is at the higher philosophical level what I answered, right? But at the practical level also, I think getting as much information as possible about where you're at is super valuable. So like wearables like the Aura Ring, right? Getting like the genetic tests, for example, with self-decode, and then like the biological age testing, the biomarkers testing, and just really figure out, who am I genetically? What is good for me? What is my body struggling with? What can I do to compensate for these things? What should I focus on? And then complement that with your personal feeling about your body, about things that you feel you're struggling with. And then based on that, you can really figure out like what is the first easy, simple step you can take, because it doesn't need to be much. Like even just something like starting to go to the sauna once a week can make a complete difference to your life.
Yeah. So maybe like little step in a year make a big, huge difference. After even 1 year, you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think like I like to think about it in certain categories often that you should focus on, right? So there's inflammation, reducing inflammation, there's nervous system regulation, there's like mitochondrial energy, there's like the cardiovascular system, there's cognitive performance, right? So those are like, for example, 5 big ones where you can say like, do I have trouble with any of them? Which one would I like to optimize first? And based on that, it gets quite easy to pick some things.
Or sleep, like you could sleep.
Yeah, I was just gonna say there are. It's usually in a lot of the research and a lot of also the books or the podcasts that are around biohacking and around health optimization. You hear of a few areas that everyone describes as to start with. So one of them is nutrition. One of them is exercising, and then in each of the categories, you need to look at what's for you. The third one is sleep. The fourth one is social connection, and you can put them on different levels, perhaps depending also where you are in your life in any given moment, and also depending on where you identify that maybe you lack certain things. But yeah, these would be the 4 areas that everyone kind of speaks about.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Yeah, like everybody talks about those 4, and I'm a bit contrarian about one thing that's a lot of influencers and content creators, they keep repeating that if you don't get these 4 basic ones right about your lifestyle, then most of the other stuff that you do will not matter. And I disagree. I think these are really important pillars of your health, and you need to get them right at some point to some extent, maybe not dogmatically, but like consistently. But I still think, like, for example, taking some supplements can make a huge impact and is such low-hanging fruit. And you don't need to fix any of the other 4 to already benefit from that. Or some practices like hyperbaric chamber, like floating tanks, like sauna, like hydrogen therapy, like red light therapy. Some of them can make a tremendous impact in your life, even if you don't address any of the problems with your 4 pillars, right? So I really don't agree with that. I think there can be very simple things that give you some quick gains. And then long term, of course, the goal is to get to this longevity lifestyle, right? This lifestyle that is built around the idea about living long and healthy and meaningful lives.
Yeah, I think we talk a lot about those pillars because they are the fundamentals. But I think at the beginning, someone should start from an entry point. So someone maybe start from red light therapy, someone want to fix the sleep, or someone would fix the diet. But then, like walking through these pillars, then you get also like you feel in love with your routine, and then you add some more. And sometimes
Yeah.
maybe at the beginning, some people I see, for example, like a high achiever, like do a lot of things, but they are very stressed, and sometimes it's better to take away some routine and start again with one. And it make also a huge difference maybe to delete all this to-do list, this excessive to-do list, and start
Yeah, yeah.
doing some simple things and then build from there, you know.
Yeah.
I'm saying yeah, yeah, but I'm so bad at this. But it's an interesting point. Okay, I think when you start out on this, it's important that you get some tangible results quickly,
Mhm.
and it's much easier to integrate new small habits that give you a quick win, so that you keep motivated,
Mhm.
than it is to get rid of bad habits. Getting rid of bad habits is way harder than implementing new good habits, especially if they're like small ones, right?
Mhm.
So I think, it's good to have some quick wins, and then you can go and look a little bit at the deeper stuff where you actually have to shift your life around, right? You
Mhm.
have to shift your habits, your routine, the way you lead your life around. That is more tricky than maybe taking some pills in the morning,
Yeah.
or sometimes in a week spending like half an hour going to sauna nearby.
Mhm.
And I think just to kind of build on what you said, Vanessa, it's also about balance,
Yeah.
understanding those small changes that Max talks about, but at the same time, like he said, not becoming super dogmatic about this entire list needs to happen for me to be healthy, but having an open mind and understanding that balance is in everything or should be in everything.
Yeah.
If you become super dogmatic about nutrition and then you completely disregard the other elements, it's not going to take you too far. It can take you to some places, but not as far as you want it. And the same with all of the other areas. So it's a bit of balance, understanding a bit of everything, and then applying slowly, one by one, what works for you.
Mhm. Exactly. And how do you see the world of health evolving in the next 5, 10 years? And what role do you think the Conscious Health Summit will play in this transformation?
Yeah, I personally see longevity as a new space, and it's a new space because it cares actually about well-being and not primarily about making money.
Mhm.
And so, it's very small right now compared to the healthcare system and economy. It's very small right now compared to the wellness and spa industry, which is more about feeling good and relaxing than it is about tangible results,
Yeah.
you know. But I think it's right in the center of those two as a new thing that will keep growing, and we'll see the healthcare system trying to come in on that. We'll see the wellness space trying to come in on that. But I think if they don't get on board with the core essence of the message, then it will be other people carrying this. And the bigger it gets, the more influence we'll have on regulation, on legislation, on the way that people live their lives. So I think living long, healthy lives and feeling more human while we do so will become the key theme of what it means to be alive as a human in modern society within the next 10, maybe 20 years.
Mhm.
Yeah, for me, I think the next 5 to 10 years will see bigger and bigger integration between. Um, Again, I go back to the same because for me this is very present. Integration between body, mind, and spirit. So, what's healthy for the body will also be healthy for the mind, and so on. Um, it's more we see it, and I'm conscious that we live in a bit of a bubble, because we're surrounded by everything, and we read, we're very interested, therefore we're also just bombarded with a lot of information around longevity, around what's what's healthy, what's holistic health as well compared to traditional or standard healthcare. And so I think there will be a bigger and bigger integration of what we call modern science and these really cutting edge scientific practices are more comprised in the term biohacking with the ancestral wisdom. So in that sense, I think the Conscious Health Summit will make a very big difference. And what we want is to really start I don't want to call it a trend, but we want to start a movement with this, because they should be integrated. They should come together. People should know that everything is connected in their body and in the universe, in the consciousness.
I think a lot of it will be about humanizing science, humanizing medicine, and bringing back more of like what it means to be a human that is part of nature, of the natural order of things, and making that into concept that works in urban life. I think that is super crucial. It's easy to be in touch with nature and live a healthy life when you have a countryside home, you grow your own vegetables, you have animals, every day you can ground yourself in your grass in front of the house, you have healthy air, you have healthy water. It's in a city that it becomes difficult, but most people live in cities. And so I think that will be key to bring this more human shape of life back into cities.
And what legacy would you like to leave behind as a biohacker, innovator, and advocate for conscious health?
I mean, if I would just contribute a little bit to bringing the wisdom back into science and opening the wise people's mind to modern science, if I can enable a little bit this bridge, I think it can impact so many people's lives positively and make their lives more worthwhile living. That would make me very happy, but I don't need to leave a legacy. They can forget that I was involved. I just want to know that it had an impact.
Sure. And you, Denisa?
Yeah, I think very similar. If more and more people find out about what it really means to at least learn about holistic health, the connection between your body, mind, and spirit, then I'd be happy with that. Even if it just inspires people to look it up more, or to understand where their emotions come from. Maybe there's some involvement also with how they sleep, what they eat, and things like this. If it just inspires people to learn more and to be more open, then I'd be very happy.
So thank you very much, Denisa and Max, for sharing your thought, your wisdom. And I tell you, see you soon in Lisbon, from 2nd to 4th of May. I will leave all your link in the show notes of this episode, and hope to see many people in Lisbon at the beginning of May. And good luck for your important event. I hope everything will be enlightening people. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vanessa. I just want to say, this summit is really a complete passion project, So we are super thrilled to welcome people to Lisbon, and we hope that many people will show up that resonate with the message.
I'm sure of it. So I like the first. I always tell that the first edition are always the best. So I think.
Oh wow!
Yeah, because I think that the energy at the first edition or of all those events are really special, because people are really into it and passionate about doing all the best. And so I like to participate at the first edition of your event for that reason. And I like your your past and what you are thinking. So I think the tribe, also the community you are building, is great. So hope to see many people. I'm sure it will be.
Thank you,
Thank
Vanessa,
you, and
for
see
this
you
beautiful
there.
insight.
So
Have a wonderful day.
thank
Thank
you.
you so
Lots
much.
of love.
Thank you.